Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. Wow, look at this card. This is very different for me, but I am so pleased with how this one has turned out. I really do love this. All using a couple of new die sets that I've been sent from Jamie Rodgers Crafts. Absolutely gorgeous. Get on the Creative Expressions website and you'll be able to pick up all of Jamie's products. And I'm going to show you now how I did this just with a couple of pieces of watercolour card. And believe me, most of them were just leftover scraps from other projects. So I absolutely love this. I hope you do. And I'll show you now how I made it. Now this card, I'm really pleased if it works out how it looks in my head. I'm really pleased with how it's going, but it came about after Jamie Rodgers sent me these two sets from his garden collection. We've got the plant pots and the daisy die. Now the daisy die, yep, I can see lots of different ways to use that, but the plant pots, wow, that's something that I possibly wouldn't usually go with. So I was really quite challenging myself as how I was going to use these, but I hope I've come up with something really nice. So the first thing I've got is a piece of watercolour card, 4 inches by 4 inches, and we're going to use this as our topper. Now my card base is a pre-made card of 6 inches, so there's a good 2-inch difference, but I want to put quite a lot of white, and there's not going to be a lot of colour on this. So those are the measurements: a 4 by 4 inch piece of watercolour, well you actually need 2 pieces, and a 6 by 6 inch card base. So I'm going to put these two to one side for 1 minute, and I'm going to bring in my craft mat, and I'm going to pop this on here, and then I'm going to grab myself some inks. So I'm going to use Sandstorm and Oasis, but I might need, no, I'm not going to use Oasis, I'm going to use Baby Blue. There we go, I've just seen that one. I might need a little bit of Fire Brown, and I might need a little bit of a darker blue as well. And before I finish, I'll also use a little bit of Pine Tree and Honey Pot. Will I use Honey Pot, or will I might use Lemon Tonic, changing my mind. So yeah, I'll use a little bit of Pine Tree and Lemon Tonic, and you'll see how those are going to be used in a minute. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put some colour onto this card. As I mentioned, I'm going to use Sandstorm and I'm going to use Baby Blue. Now I've not got a really good quality brown one, so I'm going to use my yellow one and just hope I can make it pick up the brown before I'm just putting it on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in with the Sandstorm. Always starting off the card and coming onto here. Yeah, that's working fine. It's picking up the brown now, not the yellow. So just bring it off here. Now, I'm not going to be using all of this piece. We're going to cut this up into sections. So, yeah, we can use this as however we want. So just come down here with the Sandstorm. I haven't finished necessarily with that, but I'm going to pick up the Baby Blue next. And let's come down here. And then I think I want a little bit more blue than brown, so let's bring that down. But we are going to blend. So just put that across here. And I want it a little bit darker at the top. I want it to blend into the brown or the Sandstorm, just like that. Now I'm using watercolour card. You could be using multi-purpose card, but I do think that watercolour ink, or water reactive ink, sorry, not watercolour, water reactive inks do blend beautifully on watercolour card. I'm not going to apply any extra water. I just like how they blend, and I do like to see sort of that colour contrast down the middle. I can see a little bit paler there, so let's go in like that. Now the other thing I sometimes do is go around the edge as well. We are going to use those darker colours in a minute around the edges. Where did I put those? I had, oh, they're over here. I can come in with the tiniest little bit of Fire Brown. I only want to touch just down the bottom. And then I can also use the Ocean Blue just around the top. I might need to do this again in a minute because I'm going to do some trimming. Got a mark on there and it's not taking ink. I don't know why, but never mind. Right, okay, let's just put the lids on for a minute. So once we've done that, now remember this is 4 inches by 4 inches. Well, this piece is just slightly shorter. We're going to bring in our paper trimmer. I have to reach for that. Now I want to go that way. I want to put this on Actually, I'll go the other way. And I'm going to trim that just shy of 2 inches so that it's in the 2 colours. Or I will do it at 2 inches. If necessary, I'll have to trim it down a bit. But let's do it at 2 inches. So we're going to use this piece on the bottom and we're going to use that as is. Then this one, let me measure exactly what width I've got on here. I've got, where am I, 3. I've got 1 7/8. So let's go 1 7/8 so that I get a square. So that's a nice square piece that goes just there. And then I need, I want to just get a thinner piece here. So let's just go 3/4 because I want a gap. There we go. It could be any size. So I've got those. And then I'm not going to put a piece in here. Now, the other thing I want to do is I just want to take off a little shred. Oh, why am I putting that away? Just I want to take a little bit. I just want to take off a little bit of 2 of these edges because I want to give it a border. So all I'm going to do is just line it up with there and then take that one off and then take that one off. Now this one is slightly longer, so I just need to take it off. That one too. There we go. So that they are back to being the same height. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to put those onto a piece. Now this is my piece that is actually 4 inches. And we're going to put these on. So you can see I just had it trimmed down to just less than 4 inches. So that when we put it on, I can see this white border. Now I had one here, which is a little bit bigger. That one works better, but I just need to trim a bit off it. Okay, so what you might want to do then is just go round the edges with your darker colours. Only very lightly. We don't want any white showing. The blues and then the fry brown. Just around the edge. There we go. And then we're going to stick these onto here. We're going to stick them on flat. I'm not going to try and add any height. So let's put this one on. Just using my pin flare bookbinding glue. Right, now that's not going out. I want that to go vertically. Make sure I put that on the right way. That would have been too much if I'd have got that the wrong way round. So put that one just there. So I've got the nice border all the way around. The great thing about using a wet glue is I've got time to move things around if they're not quite in the right place. Just make sure I've got a nice line across there. And then take this one. Just so long as it lines up, it'll be perfect. There we go. And how about like that? Isn't that pretty? Really absolute nice tile effect. I really do like how that looks. So I'm going to pop that onto some cream card. We can just put that on here. And that's going to go on here. The colours in this are very muted, but I think it's going to work with such beautiful muted colours. So there we go. Now what I'm going to do next, let's get these out of the way, is I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure to that. Just like that. I've already had the pressure on here. I've got another matte layer of the cream and the watercolour card, exactly the same as this. So I'm just going to pop this onto here and weigh that down just to give it 5 minutes for that glue to bite, and that's going to give me perfect time to do some die cutting. So let's cut out a plant pot. I might need some more card, we shall see. Ooh, there we go. Oh no, it's not that one. That's why it wouldn't come off, because it had never been off before. I wanted that one. And I also want the daisies. I think I need some more card. Let me get some more card. I've got lots of scraps. So let's pop that one on there, and I'm also going to actually, I only need those ones, the smallest one and that, so let's do it like that. And then we're going to put those into a die cutting sheet. You know my plates, I've absolutely had it, so just bear with me while I cut these. Right, I worked out that if I turn that round I could get them all out of one sheet. Now what I wanted to, oh, that's done the embossing beautifully on there, and it's embossed that gorgeous. I was going to get out an embossing mat if I needed to, but I don't think I do, because that's cut beautifully, as has this one too. So let's poke these out. There we go, and some extra foliage. And then we've got, I'm not going to be using the large and the medium daisy, but I can put those to one side, you know me, put them in my pot and they'll come in useful. Another time we're going to use that smaller daisy. So we need to add a little bit of colour to these. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick with the blues and the sandstorm. So let's get the sandstorm and do that. Make sure that is sandstorm, and do that around the middle of there, and it will really make that emboss show up. Just like that. And then we're going to get the baby blue and we're going to go round the edge of the pot. Love these pots, they're absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure you can think of lots of designs to work with these. Really, really interesting. Challenging me to come up with some good ideas, but I think you know, this one looks so pretty and hope you like it. And again, you'll be able to use lots of your existing dies if you want, or you know, maybe you've got these and you haven't worked out how yet you were going to use them. So hopefully this has given you some good inspiration. There we go, that's all I want to do. Now what I will show you is I've got a second one, and all I've done is inked around the edge, because what I want to do is pop that onto there, so it gives it a bit more thickness and dimension. So all I've done around the edges is so that we don't have white card showing. So let's put that to one side whilst we colour up the what are these? Daisies, that's what they are. So I'm going to do this very, very simply. I'm going to get some of these little blending brushes. I'll put a link to these in my description, because you always like these. They're actually makeup blending brushes, because I have found that if you put the word craft in, they come up at 3 times as much, 3 times as expensive. So I often look for things that aren't craft but do the job of the crafty tools, and this is one of those situations. I think they work brilliantly. So there we go. So that's a little bit of yellow centre, that's the lemon tonic. Then I've got a green one, and I'm just going to do my foliage. So let's do this just onto here, and I could have cut this out of green, but I think as everything else has been cut out of watercolour card and coloured, it would have really jarred if I'd have cut this out of a coloured cardstock. I think we still get the same muted effect by colouring it ourselves, and that's why I've done that. So there we go. So that's that leaf. Now this one I want to do as well. So I'm just going to come round here. Now, actually, you're not going to see much of this bit because this is going to be inside the pot, but you are going to see up to here if I decide to use them all. Let's come right up to there and to that one. And also, I want us to use this one, so I'm just going to put my finger in the way. Oh, it's gone on there. Did it on the last one, but never mind. And then I can come down just a little bit on there. There we go. Oh, we need to come right up to here, don't we? There we are. So that, oh, the last thing I would do to this is I would find, I've got a grey, find a clean bit of matte, and then we're just going to come round the edges very slightly, because very few flowers are pure white. Actually, you could go, did I change my mind and decide to do a little bit of baby blue? bet that's what I've done. That's probably why I've not got a grey out, because I probably did it in blue. Just putting a little bit of colour on there. The key to this is be adaptable, change it as you need to, and you'll see I often do. So yes, I think blue looks better than the grey. Just a little bit around the edges, just to stop them being too white. There we are, right, and that will do. So we've got everything we need to put this card together. I'm quite excited about this one. It's going to look really, really lovely. So let's bring in the card base. So we have our card base, you know me, 10-fold cards. I like to do them 10-fold. And then I'm going to pop my topper on. And I think I need to raise that slightly. So let's grab the foam tape. Sticks to roll all the way. And then we're going to do that vertically. So that's going to go vertically. Burnish those down, give them a good press, and then do it. Now all you notice all I did with these was put them under something weighted, and it really helps the glue to bond, and it helps to get a lovely, can you see how flat they are? I really think it helps. So I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue on there, a little bit of wet glue just down like that. And then remember, we want the with love to go vertically, and then we can put it in the centre of here. And I love the fact that we've got skinny borders, and then we've got a much bigger border around there. You could do it even bigger if you wanted to. You could have done this straight onto the card base. That's entirely up to you. But I like mats and layers. That's my thing. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these together. So let's go popping these together here. Now I don't want to glue the slit shut, so I just need to be careful not to glue that shut, because we're going to make the most of that. We're going to pop that like that, making sure that's still there, and they should just especially because it's embossed, they should just click together, and that gives me that little bit of extra thickness. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to shape it a little bit. And so just give it a little bit of dimension, and that is going to sit on here. Aren't these colours absolutely perfect? So I've got my flowers. Now I've trimmed one down, so I've got a couple here. I've got way more than I need. So what I thought I would do is I would put one, I want this one through here. It's easier to do this before you stick it down, because we might need to trim a bit off the bottom. And then we put the second one through here. So all I've done is I've trimmed off that other flower off there, just because I want to layer them up, and it got a little bit busy. Put them at slightly different heights. That works, doesn't it? Now do I need to, I might just trim a little bit off the bottom just to make sure nothing slips. I'm going to put a little bit of pin flare there just to hold that for 1 minute. Just give that a second. Right, that's going to hold. Then we can shape it again. Let's grab my 3D glue, because we're going to need some dimension. Let's go 3D glue in the centre there, a little bit down the edges. And then, yeah, those are going to be on the card. So let's put a little bit of 3D glue just behind there, just to hold it. There we are. Right, let's try and get that on without smudging. Oh, look at that perfect height, just coming right to those edges. Loving that. So all I thought I would do next is, I've used this one that we coloured, that little one. I just need to shape it a little bit. I'm going to just put that on flat, and we can put that in the centre of the pot. I know it's got beautiful emboss, but I wanted to carry that daisy theme through. And I've got some foliage. It's a bit big, isn't it? Do we even need that? Do I even? That could go there. Should have another one of those. And I could put, there's no glue on these. Just put a little bit of glue on there. And tuck those in almost behind the pot. And again, what we're doing here, make sure it goes down a little bit lower than that. It's got stuck. What's it got stuck on? There we are. Is that even glued in? Nope, there was no glue on that. We're just adding that dimension. What a beautiful way to use these. And then the final thing I thought I would do, watercolour droplets. I thought watercolour droplets are perfect for this because they're just going to add that little bit of softness and that little bit of extra something. Again, just little tiny ones. 1, 2, go 3. There we are. And that's it. What a different look. Now, if you've been following my journey for a while, you won't have seen a card like this for quite some time because I haven't done anything like this. I haven't done anything in this colourway. I haven't done anything with this look. But this is what I love about this channel, is creating so many different looks. Isn't that absolutely perfect? And that all came about because Jamie Rodgers sent me his plant pots and his daisies, and I just wanted to see how I could use those. And I'm just in love with that card. With love. How perfect is that? Just stamp that on. I just use my VersaFine Claire in Fallen Leaves because I didn't want black. I thought the brown looked good. I didn't want to stamp with water reactive. I don't like the result when you stamp with water reactive as much rather. So there we go. How about that? What do you think? Isn't that pretty? I like that one. Really, really do. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll put a link to another video on the left and a subscribe button on the right. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you have enjoyed it, of course, and also don't forget to leave a comment. And there's lots of things in the description, including a link where you can get Jamie's things from. So it's a couple of projects I've done on the bounce using Jamie's things, but that's because I had a lovely box of goodies arrive. So until next time, my friends, please let me know what you think of this. Is this inspired you to have a go at making a card like this yourself? It doesn't have to be a plant pot, but just maybe think about the layout as I've done here, and you can maybe put a different die cut on just there. I'll be back again very, very soon. So until next time, my crafty friends, you take care. Bye for now.